Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another video for the Disney Save. Today we're going to be touring my now finished villains themed world for the Disney Save file, and we have quite a bit to go over today. It's a little bit of a smaller world, but I'm going to be featuring every single one of the lots today, all of the characters. But just in case you're not familiar with the Disney Save, I create a Disney Save file for The Sims 4 that you can download. Today's video is just going to be a tour of one of many worlds that I've already completed for the save file and am currently working on doing the rest. And basically what I do is completely renovate all of the lots with custom Disney themed lots. That includes special lots. We will eventually be doing the vacation worlds and then replacing all of the characters with Disney characters and giving them custom information and relationships and just kind of making one big Disney collaboration in The Sims 4. So if you've never seen any of my stuff before, I have already completed Willow Creek and Evergreen Harbor, and now we have finished Forgotten Hollow. And I actually did recently finish Mount Komorebi as well. The tour video for that should be out in the next few weeks because all the builds and everything are already done. But just to maybe give you a really quick overview of some of the other ones, if you have never seen it, I will link the tour video for Willow Creek and the tour video for Evergreen Harbor for the Disney Save down in my description box down below if you would like to see those. But Willow Creek is Beauty and the Beast, Princess and the Frog, and the Rescuers themed, and this is my current version of it. And then I've also completed Evergreen Harbor, which is a little bit of a Pixar themed world. There is Toy Story 1 and 2, and I think a little bit of 3. We have WALL-E here, we have Big Hero 6, we have Up, we have Walt and Lillian Disney living here. And then recently I completed Forgotten Hollow, which was a little bit smaller, but we decided to go with Disney villains. So it's not so much movies in this version, whereas like the other worlds we had to focus a little bit more on like what movies are we going to do here. This gave us the opportunity to focus a little bit more on like what villains characters can we put here and what would they all, like what would a little community of them look like. So today's video is going to be featuring my 5 builds and the households that live here, being Cruella De Vil and her henchmen and her manor, the Haunted Mansion from Disneyland, including all of the characters from the Haunted Mansion, the Haunted Mansion from Disney World, which we have turned into a fancy mansion nightclub for the villains characters called the House of Villains. Horn King's Castle from Black Cauldron, which also features a Hades Underworld in the basement. So you'll notice that Horn King, Hades, Pain and Panic all live in this household, and I'll explain that household a little bit more when we get there because it's probably one of the most interesting ones for this world. And then of course, last but not least, we have Maleficent and her castle. So we're going to be touring all 5 of these builds today and checking out the characters a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into the first one. Normally for these tour videos, I do not go over every single individual household or lot, but because there are so few, I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about each one. If you do go check out the other tour videos or if you've seen them already, I do sort of bounce around, so this one is a little bit different. We're gonna like kind of check out some of the lots a little bit more in depth here. So one of the big things that I add with the Disney Save is some of these tool additions. Tool is a mod that allows you to add objects off of the lot. So these trees originally do not come with Forgotten Hollow, but because I've added them with the mod, you will have them in the download version of the save. If you download this house off of the gallery, you will not get these trees. Obviously, it is something that's kind of exclusive to the version of the save. But we have Cruella De Vil's beautiful mansion here. This is based after the version from the first animated 101 Dalmatians. This was a very complicated build because of the fact that it was almost impossible to get the layout in here the way that I would have wanted it. But I'm actually very happy with how it turned out. It fits very aesthetically with the world, the mansion / manor, the trees. It has that like sort of gothic vibe that you would want for a build like this. And Cruella, of course, in the movie does not actually live in the manor. Her 2 henchmen, Jasper and Horace, are shown in the mansion and it's kind of abandoned, but for the purposes of the Disney Save, I have decided to make it more storyline based that she has recently moved back in, and it is still a little bit run down. You'll notice like cobwebs, cracked glass, broken things here and there. It's not the most well-kept mansion of all time, but it is definitely more livable than how it was shown in the movie, and Jasper and Horace do live here so that they can do anything that she asks, essentially. So this is a little bit of what we have going on as far as the decor goes, it is very much based after the movies, with anything that I could find for reference. And then I obviously added a little bit of a spin to some of the design. We wanted to keep it very red, black, classic Cruella colors. I really loved using these rugs around that kind of remind me of Dalmatians, and using these cats and dog statues here and there. I don't like it to be too much. But we do have a dining room, a rather large kitchen. We have a couple of living rooms, a library. This tower on the end here actually was very fun to build, and it gives a little bit more space to be able to do cool things like this, where we have the piano and everything. In the upstairs portion is where you will find Cruella's actual bedroom. She is a fashion designer in the save file. I think her actual job is the fashion influencer career, but she's a little bit higher ranking. She's supposed to be essentially like a celebrity fashion designer. She kind of works in the city and comes back to her manor. She also does have a little mini work studio in the basement here, a little cluttered, featuring some of the new stuff from Dream Home and knitting and stuff like that. She has an infatuation with furs, so you'll definitely notice furs throughout the mansion and as rugs and things like in the different rooms. Horace and Jasper have this rotten little room on the end, and it's very, very poorly kept, literally trash on the floor. We have a TV for them to be able to sit and hang out. They have their own little private bathroom that is just so gross. And there is actually a third floor that features more of like the tower portion, and this side of the manor in general is very much exclusive to Cruella, being that this is her bedroom that leads kind of up towards this tower. So we have this mansion. Cruella is, like I mentioned, a fashion influencer career. She has the fabulously wealthy aspiration. She is definitely not super friendly. She doesn't have a ton of relationships. When I do more 101 Dalmatians later on, I would probably add some negative relationships with some of the other characters. And Horace and Jasper are your basic introductory criminal characters. They are in the beginning stages of like the Public Enemy and the Mischief careers. And basically you can go through and play with them from the beginning. So one thing that I really like to do with the Disney Save is basically give you an opportunity to have many different experiences. So this household would be really good if you wanted to play through this Public Enemy aspiration, if you wanted to use the new influencer career, if you really just want to be Cruella De Vil and go abduct dogs and cats from the other worlds, do what you may. But that is kind of the idea of this household. And I think that's all I have to say about this mansion. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the Haunted Mansion. So again, this is based after Disneyland, and it was kind of a toss-up over whether or not to include this here or in one of my previous worlds, Willow Creek, because it is supposed to be a little bit more New Orleans based, and Willow Creek is based after New Orleans, hence why we did a lot of Princess and the Frog there. But we did recently get a haunted house lot type with the new Paranormal Stuff pack, so I was really excited to actually be able to have this in its full form. It is a haunted house residential. It's very cool. It has like a little group of ghosts living here, being these 4 characters from the Haunted Mansion. We have Master Gracie, who is known to be the owner of the Haunted Mansion, Constance Hatchaway, otherwise known as the Bride, Madame Leota, that you have seen on the ride when they are doing the fortune teller scene. She's the head inside of the glass ball. And then we have the Hatbox ghost that we have renamed Randall. And these guys are actually also featured in a club called the Haunted Mansion, because another thing I do with this save file is replace townies. So I have added some Haunted Mansion themed townies, being the 3 hitchhiking ghosts from the ride, and then Silas, otherwise known as the groundskeeper, and his dog Bones. So I have some clubs implemented in the save. This one is obviously called the Haunted Mansion, so that you could summon all of the Haunted Mansion characters onto the lot by just simply starting a gathering and calling like a little club meeting. There are some other ones that you will see wandering around the various worlds, and if you actually download the save file, again, that is linked in my description box down below, you're going to get the fully completed Willow Creek, Evergreen Harbor, and Forgotten Hollow, and they all have themed townies to go with the different worlds. So I will go ahead and play these guys just a little bit, because you'll notice that the mansion is very, very dark, and it lights up as they sort of walk into rooms, so you'll be able to see it a lot better. Now, these guys were a little tricky as far as giving jobs and personalities to, because they're not really super well known, like their backstories are not super well known, but it was a cool opportunity for me to be able to do some stuff that I wanted and add like a little bit of storyline. So Master Gracie is obviously the mansion owner, and he is actually more so into painting in the afterlife. He is a freelance painter, I believe, and a somewhat skilled painter. Madame Leota features the new freelancer medium slash paranormal career that we got with Paranormal Living. Obviously, her being a fortune teller, a spellcaster, a medium goes really, really hand in hand with her character. And then Constance, I believe, yeah, she is a lady, meaning she is of affluence. She's really just like a wife, a stay-at-home wife. She has a little bit of a twist storyline where she is definitely romantically involved with a lot of the characters from the Haunted Mansion and or the cause of their death. She had a habit of killing off husbands in her former life. So a lot of them do not like her, and she has like little weapons and stuff in her room that I will show off a little bit later on. And then we have Randall Hatbox. He is a former or low-ranking spellcaster, and he's just a little bit grimy. But him and Constance like to team up and go ahead and mess with people that are in the mansion. And because this is a Haunted Mansion residential, you will notice that random ghosts will come here as well, which is very in line with the storyline of the Haunted Mansion. It's kind of like a final resting place for lots of ghost characters. Taking a quick look at the mansion the best that we possibly can, we have the main ballroom area that you would have seen from the ride. I believe if you go up, yes, you can kind of sort of look down into it, very similar to how you would go around the ride and you would be able to see the dancing ghost down on the ballroom. You could very easily pop this dining room table into your inventory and use this as an actual ballroom with an organ and everything, and have the characters play and throw like a tiny little ball of sorts. Unlike Cruella's, this place is very, very heavily dusty, cobwebs, grimy, just nasty all the way around. It's abandoned. The ghosts do not take care of it. They're not really bothered by much of it at all. And it's pretty massive. Just to like kind of show off some of the rooms, we have like a little gallery hallway here. There are a couple of bathrooms throughout the mansion. It's all very similarly aesthetically designed. We have the kitchen. Tried to keep everything very time appropriate. This little hallway is pretty much pulled directly from the Haunted Mansion with the stacked windows and everything. I think what's even more interesting about this place is actually the upstairs. I did a lot of work trying to make this section in particular be very reminiscent of some of the stuff that you would see on the ride, with the little coffin in the windowscape here and lots of overgrown bushes and cobwebs and whatnot. Never been on the ride personally, but I did a lot of research when doing this build to try to get a really accurate representation. It's also very hard to replicate something that is supposed to take place in darkness, so you can't really get all the detail that you would want all the time. Madame Leota does actually have her own little spellcastery room, medium room. She can do medium work out of this room. She can also obviously do readings in here. She's got her potions. She's got all her stuff. There's a tiny library. There's an office for Master Gracie. And then on the top floor, we have most of the bedrooms in the mansion. There is actually an extra bedroom up here. One of them is for Constance, one is for Randall, and one is for Leota. And then Master Gracie has a master suite down in the basement that I will be showing off in a moment here. Their rooms are very similarly designed, but you'll notice little touches here and there to kind of indicate who belongs in which room. This one is Constance. She has some jewelry and things around. And then if you actually go under the furniture as like an added little detail, you'll notice weird things like this where she has swords and stuff kind of hidden amongst her room because, again, like I mentioned earlier, she has been known to be the cause of death for some of her prior husbands. So I kind of hid that stuff throughout her room. Madame Leota's room, again, very similar. They each have a different color scheme, but hers does have some little things here and there for her spellcaster business. Some of the new stuff from Paranormal. And Randall was actually formerly a pirate and an aristocrat. So he has some stuff in his room to kind of signify that. If we go up one floor very, very quickly, this is a little attic that is supposed to pay tribute to the attic scene on the ride when you actually see Constance, aka the bride, and she has like little packages from her wedding and things sort of strewn about in her scene. So I wanted to just pop this in here as a tribute to the ride. It's non-accessible and definitely supposed to be that way, but it was just a cute little detail. And then very, very quickly, down in the basement here, we have the master bedroom. This is Master Gracie's room. It's just a little bit bigger, but obviously themed very similarly to a lot of what we've seen in the mansion. He does have his own fireplace. He does have his own little bathroom and whatnot. And that pretty much makes up the Haunted Mansion. Now, something else that you do get with the save file is, again, a tool edition that pays tribute to the Haunted Mansion, and that is this little graveyard edition that I have made over here. So this is to pay tribute to things that you see on the ride. We have the 5 busts in the background that are from the ride, and then all of these gravestones are marked with characters from the ride or things that are marked on the gravestones outside of the ride. So if you have your Sims go up and actually read them, they will all have names of characters that are living in the household or ones that you could read on the actual ride. And we will move on. Actually, I'll take one of my characters here. We'll probably take Miss Constance. I love her very much. She was a lot of fun to be able to design and have her go over and travel to our villains themed nightclub called House of Villains. So I have also implemented a Disney Villains Club with this version of the Disney save, and right now it only includes Maleficent and Hades because they are primary villain characters. We will add more characters into the club over time as we get a little bit more into some of those other really famous Disney villains characters, but this serves as the club hangout for them, and the reason why is because it does feature some themed bedrooms upstairs, which I will be showing you guys in a moment here, that is based after some of the Disney villains. Now, it was a really tough choice originally. Which version of the Haunted Mansion am I going to include in this world? And ultimately, I just decided that it would be really fun to do both because Disneyland and Disney World have just such different versions of the mansion. I decided to use the Haunted Mansion from Disney World as the exterior shell for this nightclub. And it is a mansion. You could very easily change the lot type and make it into a residential. You have more than enough here to be able to live a happy full life and move all of your villains characters in here if you do so choose, but I do have it functioning currently as a nightclub. So this is the main ballroom area. This is actually based after House of Mouse a little bit and some of the special House of Mouse episodes that they did where they did some villain spin-offs, and it was called House of Villains, hence the name as well. And I got some inspiration as far as the decor in here, but it is also very heavily inspired again by the Haunted Mansion itself and the version in Disney World. And this is pretty standard. Most of the nightclub activities take place in here, but you will notice that we have a ton of other stuff going on. We've got bathrooms all over the place. There is a special little room in here for your spellcasters, especially your villains ones, to be able to do potions and brew and do magic in here. We have a beautiful little outdoor garden with the woohoo bush, of course. Dining room. We have our kitchen. Again, some clutter kind of about to show off that this is not your typical mansion. This is definitely more for your villains characters. You wouldn't have your everyday, like Disney princesses wouldn't really love to hang out here. You know, this is not their vibe, but this is great for the villains. Be able to come in here and have some club hangouts, some meetings. And then upstairs is what I think is really, really fun and very indicative of things that we will see later on in the Disney save, being these themed bedrooms based after some of the famous Disney villains characters, ones that have not been included in this world but will be included in different versions of different worlds. So we have the Evil Queen first and foremost. You will notice little things here and there throughout the room. Obviously, we've gone very heavy with the color scheming, being purple for the Evil Queen and black. And of course, we had to do the apples for Snow White. We had to do the little box with the heart on it from the movie. And she got the biggest bedroom because I do think she is one of the like more iconic Disney villains. And the reason Maleficent did not get a room in this mansion is just because she already has a castle in this world. So she kind of didn't need one. I was already going to theme an entire castle after her. Evil Queen has her own bathroom. Very cute. This is when platforms were updated, so we had to add something a little bit interesting to the bathroom here. We'll stay in this mode for a moment so we can kind of get the full picture of this upstairs portion. Very fun. The bedroom next door is Jafar themed. I'm so excited to add Jafar to the save later on. I'm very excited to do Aladdin stuff in general. He and Aladdin is one of my favorite movies, so it'll be really fun. But we finally got to do something that was at least to pay tribute to him in this sort of a way. So the furniture is obviously very much in line with his character, and hopefully you agree. Next door to him is Captain Hook. It was a little bit of a toss-up over whether or not Captain Hook would get a room in here, but I do love Peter Pan, so we went ahead and did a Captain Hook moment. It's kind of cute, right? It's got a lot of things that would be relative to his character. Kind of the theme across the board. Ursula also got a room of her own. I like the lighting. The lighting was like very specific to me in all of the rooms. I had to make sure I did the best I can. We have her two little eels. And then lastly, we have a room for Hades with the dungeony blue glowy vibes. And this beautiful fireplace from Realm of Magic that does, of course, have the blue fire. So just so you guys can get like a little overhead of these rooms. And obviously this is a nightclub, so you can use them how you will. But like I said, this is also the club hangout spot for the Disney Villains Club, which is currently a work in progress, but we do at least have some of the characters already in the save file. So you'd be able to come here and use it for whatever storytelling purposes that you need it for. This also features a library, and then we have the tower in the front here. And it's basically just like a little lookout. You can go all the way to the top, kind of look out over all of Forgotten Hollow. And that is the Haunted Mansion House of Villains nightclub. Now we're going to be moving on to one of the more different types of families in this world. This is Horn King's Castle. This castle is based after the Black Cauldron, which I was not familiar with before starting this world. But if you didn't know, I do have a Patreon to support the Disney save and basically the time that I put into working on this, because it does take me a really long time and I've been at this for a while. So my patrons are very, very kind as to basically support the work on the save file. But one of the patron features that I offer is I do these meetings, especially when we're planning for new worlds and starting a new world, to be able to brainstorm ideas. And I'll sit down with all my patrons. We usually do it in like a Discord voice meeting because I have a private Discord for patrons only, and they will kind of give me ideas and we will brainstorm together and kind of shoot ideas of what we're going to do for the save file. And someone had suggested the Black Cauldron Castle, which I would have never thought to do without patron help, and I'm very grateful that I do have people to bounce ideas off of, because I think this ended up being really the highlight of this world, and I'll show you why in a moment, because there's something very interesting about this castle, other than obviously this crazy rock structure that we have going on here. I do offer other perks for my Disney Save Patreon as well, so if you would like to check that out, link down in the description box down below. I do have a private Discord for patrons, and I try to offer a lot of exclusive content, early access. I do polls on my Patreon as well, so that will be linked down below if you would like to check it out, potentially to join. But to get back into this lot and household, basically it was recommended to do Horn King's Castle from Black Cauldron, which I was kind of on the fence about because I had never seen the movie. It's this very like old school medieval castle. It has a ton of rocks. It's one of those castles that looks like it's kind of built into the mountain and just has like a ton of rocks around it. But I ended up doing a lot with the Star Wars pack and creating this. So actually, these rocks that you see over to the left here are tool additions for the save file to help make it blend in a little bit better and match it with the landscaping of this world. Otherwise, you will not get this portion, but the castle is fully downloadable on the gallery. And so if we're doing Horn King, and the Black Cauldron, it makes a lot of sense for Horn King to live here, so he does live in this castle. And then we have Chernabog from Fantasia because he was a perfect candidate for a master vampire for the save pile, being that he is such a devilish, pure evil character. And I was also really set on doing one of my favorite Disney villains in this world, that being Hades. So we decided to combine this all into one household and do a layered type of lot that came out really, really cool. So the first thing I want to focus on is probably my favorite thing in all of Forgotten Hollow, and that is the Underworld. It is the bottom 2 levels of this castle, and it was supposed to be based after the Underworld from Hercules. We have the river Styx, we have the Souls pool that Hercules jumps into at the end of the movie to save Meg. This is obviously a non-functioning pool. I really wanted it for the aesthetic of the build. But this is all for Hercules. These are supposed to be blue flames, and we did do a little bit of an update on the river Styx with some of these little glowy debug hands reaching out that are from Paranormal Stuff Pack. The household, you'll also notice, features 3 dogs, and they are supposed to be based after the 3-headed dog that guards the Underworld. So they do have their own little bed that they can come rest in down here. And then the floor underneath it, again, an extension of the Underworld. This is really where we have like a lot of the bases for the river Styx and everything. But this is more functioning as Hades' bedroom and his throne and his little earth globe that he goes up to so that he can plot and scheme and check out the world and everything. So this is really like his section of the castle, is these bottom 2 layers. If you go up 1 step above, you're at the dungeon. So this door here leads to the Underworld, and we have Pain and Panic's bedroom, very tiny, very dungeony-esque, perfect for them to be able to also guard and kind of protect the dungeon and the entrance to the Underworld. And of course, having them a part of this household was really fun and probably something that we really wanted to include. I think giving them like less of a really nice bedroom, like not having them live with Hades, is really fun. And then the rest of this just serves as like a dungeon for the castle itself, because there are some dungeon scenes in the Black Cauldron movie, so we wanted to have a little bit of a dungeon down here. 1 step up from that, we have a medieval style kitchen. This was so much fun to build. It actually very recently got a revamp because there's something very fun in this kitchen. You will notice this little fireplace and cauldron, and this is actually a functioning stove system by another creator named SatiSim, and they make the most incredible objects that are functional, and I got permission from her to use some of the stuff in the Disney save that she creates. So I will be linking her YouTube channel down below, as well as her gallery ID if you would like this piece. I want to make it super clear that I did not make this. She actually uses the tool mod to create these and is extremely talented on a level that I am just not. So I sent her a little message asking if I could possibly use some stuff like this that really, really fits in well with a medieval kitchen, but we don't really have a ton of stuff to be able to properly make it, and she did say it was okay. So I will be linking her down below if you'd like to check it out. If you want to download maybe just something like this or check out anything else that she's made, I highly, highly recommend you do so. But other than that, this is my little kitchen. We have the new fireplace from Snowy Escape that I did sort of cover up a little bit so that we could have more of a medieval vibe in here. This is more for Pain and Panic. They serve as kind of like servants for the household to come down here and cook for the rest of the characters. And then the other floors above are based more directly on the Black Cauldron. These are rooms replicated from the movie. In particular, the scene where you see Horn King sitting on his throne, and they have the little bit of like all the gremlins and stuff drinking and partying in front there. They, of course, each had to have their own bedrooms, so we did go ahead and do one for Chernabog on this floor. Oh, I'm gonna miss it. And that is this room for Chernabog, our vampire of the save, our head vampire of the save. He basically serves as like a replacement for Vlad currently. He is super powerful, super resistant to basically all of the downfalls of being a vampire. And then the one over here is for Horn King. I wanted this castle to be extremely open to the elements, cold, uninviting, just for some of the worst characters. And then just as like an added fun thing, because Chernabog is from Fantasia and that movie is obviously known to be musical, Chernabog is very musically inclined. He plays all instruments. He has lots of high skills in piano and organ playing and singing and whatnot. And the upper parts of the mansion are pretty much reserved, the upper parts of the castle, excuse me, are pretty much reserved for him, with a organ in the highest part of the tower here for him to be able to come up and play music for all of Forgotten Hollow. And that's basically all Chernabog does, is be a vampire and play music. He hates everybody and everything, and we love him for it. To get into the characters a little bit more quickly, yes, we do have Chernabog. He is an extremely maxed out vampire. He's definitely not one that you would want to use to play through vampires, but he will be a terror for basically everybody involved. Horn King is like a mid-tier spellcaster. He has some things unlocked and not others. He is not particularly good at much of anything. He is registered as a royal for the save file, so he doesn't really even have a job, but you will notice that the household is maxed out with money. So you're not really playing this household to worry about like going to work every day. We can do that with Toy Story over in Evergreen Harbor potentially, if that's something that you're interested in. This is more so to really focus on like the villains. Hades is very special because he's a Greek god. He is a spellcaster, but he is almost completely, he's completely maxed out in everything, and he features a lot of special traits that are only unlockable in the game by doing very specific things. He never gets tired, he's immortal, he never gets hungry, he doesn't have to bathe, and he basically is like an immortal, I don't have to take care of you kind of sim, which is a system that I really do want to implement with future Greek god and goddess characters that we will probably do from Hercules as well. So he is a very, very special character. And then Pain and Panic here are aliens, which we don't get too many opportunities to do so far, but they are teen aliens, and they are supposed to be servants for the castle, servants for Hades, and so they tend to like cooking and cleaning and things like that a little bit more. You'll also notice that we have a Hercules club that does feature the Fates from the Hercules movie. Currently, we don't have Hercules and Meg in the save file, but I will be adding them later on. Phil as well. And then lastly, we are going to be going to Maleficent's lot. She lives in her own castle. She is, again, a spellcaster. She's a 5-star celebrity, being that she is infamously known to just be a horrible, mean spellcaster throughout all of the worlds. She actually has a familiar, which I will show you guys in a moment here. We were very fortunate that this worked out, but because it's not always this simple, but she does have a crow companion in the movie, and so I did go ahead and give her the crow raven familiar, I should say, to go along with that. And Maleficent lives by herself. She loves to live by herself. She is also, I believe, she has a special job called Mistress of Evil, which is very similar to what we saw earlier with Chernabog and Horn King with the royal roles, and they do not do much of anything except terrorize everyone else. They're not worried about making ends meet. It is more so just about their individual goals as people. And we have the castle here, based after the one from the movie. This was a very, very tough build, especially on a lot of this size, but I am hopeful that you guys enjoy my version of it. I will actually go at the end and we'll check it out at night, because that is really how this is meant to be seen, and I will show you guys why in a moment. The upper portions of the castle are very layered into the rocks. They're meant for her to be able to teleport around to the different towers because of the fact that she's a spellcaster. We do have some additional bedrooms and things on this lot if you would like to be able to maybe have other Sims move in or keep them here for any reason. We have a couple of bedrooms, but mostly it just features some small rooms for her to be able to come in and do spellcaster activities or things that she might want. And I obviously wanted to make the castle look as similar to the movie as possible, so we're just keeping a lot of like what it had for the movie in this build. This is her main throne room that they show in the movie. She does have a cauldron in here as well that she can come and brew potions on. We have the beautiful winding staircase over here to kind of get up through the main gate into the castle, and lots of references to dragons. around the castle as well. But you will have seen earlier that most of her living quarters is actually located in the bottom floor, where she has this beautiful royal platformed bedroom and all the purple and green glowing that I could possibly get in this place. Ceiling kind of kills it a little bit, but you definitely get the vibe. This is one of my favorite rooms that I think I've ever done in the Disney Save. This is so fun. I can't wait to do other princess characters and stuff, because they will definitely have beautiful like platform beds such as this. She does have a living room. You will notice a custom painting on the wall of Maleficent, and that is a CC free painting that will also come in the save file download without any conflictions. That is not custom content. And then she has a dining room with one chair because she lives alone. She does have a kitchen over here. She does have, of course, a bathroom with, again, the idea of these very grand platformy kind of bathroom. This giant bathroom that's just so unnecessary. You will notice some stairs that lead down into a functional dungeon once again. This one was more so based after the movie because Prince Philip is held captive in the movie by Maleficent. So I wanted to have a functioning dungeon. You can lock the doors. You can keep Sims here. Whatever you want to do. I'm not going to question it. But if you wanted it for storytelling, that's what I always say. You have it. I try to implement as much stuff as possible from the movies to be able to properly tell the stories from the movies, or basically just to be able to play through your own storylines if you wanted to with all the proper set dressing. And then, like I promised, we will go really quickly over to build mode, because I'd love to show you guys this lot at night, how it is really, really meant to be seen. And you will notice the glow that was so hard to get just right. But this castle from the movie really had this like gorgeous purple and green glow that's very reminiscent of Maleficent. And so we had to make sure that it lit up properly at night and really gives this special ambiance. Looking over the rest of Forgotten Hollow here. Very, very fun. I had a ton of fun working on this world. It was so different than anything we've done for the save file so far. Like I mentioned earlier, I did recently complete Mount Komorebi for the Disney save. It is Mulan and Monsters Inc. and Frozen themed. If you'd like to check any of that out, the Disney Save playlist where I put all of my speed builds and creative sims for the save file is linked in my description box below as well. You can go ahead and check out all of that stuff. I stream live on Twitch 3 days a week where I build for the Disney Save or make characters or test the save file out, so you can come hang out and give input on characters or just come out and hang out to vibe. We have a really great time over there. Again, Patreon link down below if you'd like to join for the Disney Save, get some extra perks, get some inside info, what we're going to be working on. I am currently planning Henford on Bagley and a little bit of Windenburg as we move into some movies and things that we're going to be doing there, like Snow White, Tangled, those kinds of movies. Very, very exciting. It's all to come. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the other tour videos if you'd like to see more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time that I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.